Hello and welcome. In today's exciting episode, I'm just showing you more of the beading that I've done on the orange jacket. More orange beads, big ones and small ones.
Perfect.
Perfect jacket. So last episode I was like, I'm going to make a beaded jacket, just beads. So the base jacket that I'm going to bead everything onto is made out of 3 layers of netting. In this footage, it can be difficult to tell the difference between netting and tulle. Tulle is what a bridal veil is made out of. It's all soft and floaty. And this is the jacket pattern I use, Discontinue McCall's one, but I highly recommend the Vogue 7975 if you want to get a pattern. That one's still available and it's a much better pattern. It doesn't have any mistakes or anything. So tulle, soft and floaty. Net is, or netting, it's called different things in different places. Just go to a box store, a big fabric store like Joann's, and tell them you want to make a 1950s petticoat, and they will tell you where the netting is. It's stiff netting, and yeah, it holds the beads really well and it keeps its shape really well. So it's the kind of thing that they make the underlayers of tutus out of as well. So anyway, I made the jacket, and so that's in the previous video, and then I divided all my orange beads into 6 boxes. So front left, front right, left arm, right arm, back left and back right. So that's all 6. And then I started beading on the back. It's best to start on the back or somewhere that you won't see, because it takes a while for you to get into the rhythm. You can just do it on a sample like bit of fabric, but there's only so many hours in a day, so I've got a lot of beading experience, so I start on the back of mine. And here we go. So I've done the whole of the first layer of the beading. That's what I did in the last episode. So that one went live. And then the next thing I have to do is, these are all the remaining beads. So you can't just put all the beads on at once. The weight wouldn't be evenly distributed. You have to do it in layers. So I sort of doing it in 4 different layers. So the first layer was just sort of get the general spacing right, and they were sort of small to medium sized beads, just to add a little weight and give a little definition to the design. So the next one, they're going to be medium and large beads, and there's also going to be some small ones in between, just to sort of anchor all the weight and distribute the weight evenly. So yeah, that's what I'm doing next. And each time I work on one part, I'll take that box over and I'll work on that. So yeah, and I just sort of mix them around a bit. There was some, when I divided everything evenly into 6, there are some things like the big round sequins won't look good on the sleeves. So I swapped them into the front, the section for the front, and I put some other beads, swapped out some other beads into the arm box, into the sleeve box. So it'll even itself out eventually. So then I started on the right front side, and I've just done 2 rows so far. And I'll just go close and I'll just show you what I've done. So I started at the bottom, and I'm not sure if you can tell. So you can sort of see there's a clear line up the center front. And here I started with the fluoro orange one, then the volcanic rock one with the dimples, and then there's a few more small ones. And then I went up to that really big one, the orange one, and then there's another small one, and then the folded large sequin, and then there's a few small ones, and then I went up to the big rose one. And if you see, it's in the center of the bust line, but it's not over one bust or the one breast or the other. It's, yeah, you got to be really careful when you do the ones at the bust line. And then I sort of did this second row here. I anchored it with a really small bead, light plastic one. Then I did the large folded sequins, anchoring that with 3 seed beads in 3 different spots. And then the bicone see-through one, which kind of looks like a crystal cut bit of plastic, I guess. And then another big round one, and then a couple of small ones. Then, yeah, you can see I worked all the way up. And this is me getting on a chair to show you the top part. and then I sort of worked over the shoulder here. So if you're going to do this, basically do 2 small ones and then a biggish one, and then 2 small ones, then another biggish one. And in the areas that are rounded, you've got to factor in the shape of the body that it's going to be hanging off. So you can't put a really heavy bead on the shoulders, because especially if you're a bit bony, that will not work out well for you. So that's why the large sequins are there, and that's why they're sort of on an angle. So if it was straight, it would stretch awkwardly around the shoulder and it would just sit weirdly. So yeah, and just go to museums and look at embellished jackets, and you'll most of them, they get donated after they've been worn, so you can, and obviously they repair them before they put them out on display, but you can sort of still see the stress points on them. So I find going to big museums and galleries really useful, and looking at historic fashion and other, popular culture garments, because you get a really, really good idea of how things will age well. I mean, I've been making my own beaded jackets for a decade and a half now, so I've got my own, research as well that I've done with my own garments and how they're aging. But yeah, it was really useful when I hadn't made anything, to just go to all the big galleries in whatever city I was visiting and look at those pieces. So that is how I'm putting these on. It's like if a tree with lots of different roots, all the roots do a little bit of work instead of having one big root. So that's the same with the thread on a beaded jacket. Each thread carries a certain amount of weight, and it's got to be evenly distributed. I love this angle of it. It's so pretty. So yeah, I'm going to go on now and finish this layer all over. I might come back once I've done the torso but haven't done the sleeves, so you can see the contrast between the two. Okay, I'm busy working away at the moment on the beading, but I'm on a coffee break. So I thought I'd show you these Christian Dior pieces from, at least a decade or two ago. And yeah, the Lesage embroidery on them is just magnificent. And the orange ones, they just remind me so much of the work I'm doing at the moment, especially like at night. I just have my desk lamps on, and then sometimes I put it on the mannequin and I'll go and have a coffee and I'll come back and I just sort of see it in silhouette. So a lot of the like the big sequins and the bigger beads, they look like they're black. And so it's sort of, it really reminds me of this orange coat. It's got the dress underneath is matching. And yeah, the Lesage embellishment work on these gowns and jackets. And the jacket on the right is, it's just phenomenal. These ones, I love that sort of aqua teal jacket or coat. So beautiful. And this gown makes me think of what Dior would be like if Jeremy Scott was the creative director. This one, love the hair, love the makeup, and I love the Lesage embellishment. It's just amazing. And this gown is just like got thousands and thousands of sequins on the balloon hem of the dress. They're just magnificent. And these sort of bucket head hats are hilarious. They're just the perfect contradiction. I love them. I think this one is my favorite, the sort of aqua turquoise one with the orange sort of flame colored embellishment by Lesage. The beading on these pieces just changes the work so much. It just takes it to a whole nother level. Anyway, I'm going back to my beading, but that's what this jacket makes me think of. So then I did loads more beading, and yeah, I tend to thread 10 or 20 needles at a time. That way you don't have to keep putting down the jacket, because you have to hold it a certain way so that nothing gets damaged and all the weight's in the right spots. So yeah, I've put it on the mannequin again to give you a look at how much work I've done. I have done so much. Oh, don't mind the threads in the front there. I just, instead of having the pins to mark where the bust is, I just sewed in a couple of stitches of white cotton so that it's actually pale blue so that I can see and then I don't have to stab myself with them. So this is the back. And I'm not sure if you can tell. It feels like I just put so much work into this and did so much beading, and I'm not entirely convinced that you can even really tell. I've done a little bit on the arms, just a sort of a smattering, but obviously I've done the bulk on the jacket. I've sort of shaped them a little bit. So I just sort of want, you can see at the top, there's beads going all the way around, and that just helps shape, it helps the sleeves keep their shape if you sort of bead around certain ways. So yeah, this is depressing. I have done so much work. Okay, I'll thread these again and do more work. And well, that was quick, wasn't it? This is like several hours later. I think it might even be another day, but yes, I have done a lot of work. And okay, let's put it up again on the mannequin. I'm more confident this time. I can actually see the progress. So here we go. There's big gaps where like I've still got all the skull beads and those really beautiful bow beads and some other beads. I've got these big crystal cut orange glass beads as well. I don't think I've showed them to you yet. But so that's why there's the big sort of gaps at the top. And I want to sort of counterweight all those heavy ones with some of the more of the large sequins that are folded in half. So this is what it looks like from far away. And I'm really happy with the way it's coming along. It's yeah, it's looking a bit messy, but once I put those like the expensive beads in, they will become the focal points. So I'm not worried about it looking a little bit messy. That it's kind of what it usually does before it sort of always looks a bit rough before you do that final layer of the really expensive ones. I also have this bag of metallic orange sequins and I put them in, and I think it makes it look a lot more like that Dior jacket, because they're sort of, in some lights they look black or dark, and then in other lights they're bright, sort of golden orange. So yeah, it's coming along nicely. It's just, wow, the amount of work in this. And I'm no longer worried about, so those are the bows and the ceramic skulls, the porcelain skulls. I'm no longer worried about there not being enough beads. There's most definitely going to be enough beads. It's just, takes so much time to put each individual one on. But it's totally worth it. And yeah, it's amazing. At this point, I was sort of rushed through filming all that, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do another 10 or 20. And then, yeah, I threaded all those needles ready to start again. And then I was like, actually, no, I'm exhausted. And at most I can do about an hour's work. I could have done an hour's work, and then I would have had to stop anyway and do all this editing and narrating for the second half of the video. So I was like, oh, I mean, I really, really, really wanted to get this finished, but time is linear. I don't have a time machine. So yeah, as you can see, there's quite a few of the large round sequins that are folded in half that I haven't used yet. And I do think they'll look good. I might sort of rest the skulls on top of them, perhaps, maybe, because the skulls are really light, and the half that's sort of sitting up would offer some protection to the porcelain skulls. So maybe I'll do that. I'll sort of, I don't know, I'll do a bit more of the filler beads or the groundwork, and I still have the sleeves to do as well. The last thing I will do will be putting in the crystal cut beads, the bows, and the skulls, because they're the, you don't want them to be knocked around at all. Not that I'm knocking the jacket around, but you you don't want to add them until the very last bit. So it's coming along nicely, and I feel like I've done a lot of work, but there's still, there's so many more beads to go. So anyway, I have to leave it here because, yeah, I haven't finished. I feel like a little bit of a failure, but also I think I need to give myself a break. It's manage my own expectations of what I can achieve in a certain amount of time. So yeah, it's coming along nicely, and I think it will be really beautiful once it's done. And yeah, I just have to keep plugging away at it. I do regret that I didn't do like at least 4 layers or use even stiffer net that I'm using, because it is a little bit too fragile. So yeah, I guess I will know for the next fully beaded jacket. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you've been inspired to get on with your massively difficult project that you've been dreading. It's totally worth it. It does take a lot of time and effort, but totally worth it.